Although I've experienced more issues with Murderbot than most, you have to give credit where credit is due. At least my prediction that the most of the story details had been covered in the previous episode was correct. As far as basic A-B plotting is concerned, the conclusion may be succinctly summed up in a few phrases. However, Episode 10's character development and emotional depth are better than they have been throughout the majority of the season, and it thankfully ignores almost all of the flawed humor to make room for them. Corporate accountability. As previously said, the plot of this episode may be summed up in a very short amount of time, and it is able to, look at this. Once the company has recovered Murderbot and the Pressall crew, they understand they can use this to pressure the company into letting them buy the contract for Murderbot. The company wishes to keep the truth about what was actually happening on the planet a secret. The end. That's a terrible oversimplification, of course, but my point is that the story's mechanics aren't the main focus of this climax. In a place named Corporation Rim, it makes sense that the evil guy's wrongdoing won't be sufficiently revealed. The Pressall crew's best chance is to save their friend, which is a tightrope act, because the company's cover up entails erasing Murderbot's memory, installing a new governor module, and sending him on peacekeeping missions that involve brutally attacking protesters. He is slated for an acid purge if he fails to function during this time. For the company, this should be simple. Evidence of how secunits are perceived can be found everywhere, including in the way the engineers fixing Murderbot talk about and handle him, the mushy remnants of the other defective secunit that melted first, etc. The influence of entertainment. Even the perimeter manages to wrap up all of that, the rise and fall of Sanctuary Moon nonsense, without resorting to another in-show skit. When Murderbot's memory is erased and his personality and settings revert to their initial state, Gurathin is the only one who can come up with a solution. He locates an old acquaintance, who appears to have been his co-worker, drug dealer, and possibly lover, it's unclear. But he uses him to access all of Murderbot's memories connected to his favorite show. Gurathin basically downloads all of the personality Murderbot established over this season into his mind, since he processed nearly all of his human interactions through the Sanctuary Moon perspective. When Mensa eventually succeeds in obtaining an injunction that stops Murderbot from purging acid, she is able to obtain his contract and free him. He starts to resemble the person he was when he valiantly gave his life to save Mensa's life last week, until Gurathin shows there just in time to switch over all of his recent memories.